everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jazz, and today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Gemini that's happening on December 15th, 2024 at 2 a.m. or 2:01 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Now, I already did the first part of this video, the overview of this full moon, which I highly recommend. It's very comprehensive. I look at the astrology chart, I look at the human design chart, and I pulled a couple of tarot cards for the collective. And yeah, just went more into detail about the transits and what they could possibly be meaning for all of us. So check that out if you haven't. I'll have that link down below and in the video somewhere. And then in this video, we're going to do the all signs. So make sure that you listen to your sun, moon, and rising, as well as any stelliums that you have to get the most comprehensive big picture of what could be happening in your life right now, because this is a general horoscope reading. So it's going to be affecting all of us in different ways. Now, if you have anything around 23 degrees of the mutable signs, so Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, you're going to be feeling this full moon probably the most, as well as Cancers, because you are ruled by the moon. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the all signs. All right, so for my Aries, sun, moon, and rising, I already got a card for you guys when I was shuffling. There we go. Queen of Swords, very fitting because this is happening in your third house of communication, and the swords are our thoughts and communication. It's the air element, which is Gemini. So back in June, something new was started in your third house, and now it's coming to a culmination, some sort of a fruition, some sort of tangible result is being seen from that. So what is the third house? Well, the third house is a very all-encompassing house because it's your immediate environment. So if we think about what we can see or change in our immediate environment, that's a lot of things. But it's generally something that's your day-to-day. So that's why we say it has something to do with your siblings, neighbors, cousins, because this is generally the people that you keep around you, or at least, you know, with siblings and cousins, it was back in the old days. But it really is, it could be anything that you deal with day to day. So it's like the people that you may live with, the people that you work with, the commute to work, something around that is coming to a fruition. This is also, like I said, a house of Gemini. So it's air, it's communication, it's writing, it's speaking. So maybe there was some sort of a writing project that you were working on that's now coming to fruition. Oh my goodness. Okay, Knight of Cups. A lot of court cards here. Yeah, so maybe you had a writing project that was coming to fruition. Maybe something around your routines are changing, or are now coming to a fruition. Maybe back in June, you were thinking that you wanted your day-to-day to look kind of different. You wanted new habits. You wanted a new way of communicating. Maybe there was something around communication or thoughts. Maybe you decided that, you know, you wanted... You know what I just popped into my head? That you guys have Saturn in your 12th house and Neptune as well. And Neptune is squaring from the 12th. Okay, interesting that popped into my head. Because I was thinking, like, for a lot of you guys, we've been dealing with that energy of the 12th house, which is like our subconscious beliefs and our mindsets that go much deeper. And so the third house is kind of like our more of our conscious thinking and speaking. So I think for a lot of you guys, this may be that for the last 6 months, you guys have been really focusing on changing your mindset and looking to the parts of you that are inhibiting your growth in some way, in a sense of like reaching people, or in a sense of being able to speak to people in a certain way. So yeah, it looks like you've been working on some, I was just thinking too, that for some of you guys, maybe you guys have recently been having dreams that have been really impactful for you. That maybe something arising from the subconscious through your dreams has been able to provide some clarity for you, because the sun and Mercury are sitting in your 9th house right now, and Mercury, the ruler of this moon, is going direct. So you've got the 9th and the 12th house activated right now, which it's so different than the third house, because the third house is your immediate environment and the ninth house is environments that are different from you, that are far away from you. And so is the 12th house. The 12th house is overseas travel as well. It's making me feel like a lot of you guys are going through a very spiritual time right now where you're trying to attain some sort of understanding about your life and why it is the way that it is, with your immediate environment, like why your day-to-day looks the way that it does. You guys are wanting deeper understanding because maybe in some degrees, like, you're not happy with how things turned out. And what I want to say with Saturn in the 12th, and really with any Neptune hard transit, which is happening during this full moon, make sure you watch the first part of my video if you haven't already. I talk very in depth about Neptune. Whenever we have those hard aspects, it asks for a lot of compassion and forgiveness if things did not turn out the way that we wanted them to turn out. Now, in that first part of the video, I talk about how this moon is bringing some sort of clarity to us. And like I said, for you guys, it's in that 3rd and 9th house axis, but Neptune is still squaring the sun and the moon. So it's squaring both of those positions. And so it's kind of making things also not super clear. So we're getting clarity in one aspect, but Neptune is saying, yeah, you're getting clarity, but you don't really have awareness of the whole picture yet. So have compassion for yourself. What do you need to release? What has been holding you back in a sense of guilt or regret of how your day-to-day environment has come out to be? For a lot of you guys, I feel like there is some sort of a creative, there's some sort of creative project because of the Knight of Cups. Maybe there's some sort of new inspiration. Maybe there's some sort of new desire for like a romantic relationship. But I feel like the Queen of Swords is what I was saying earlier about how, like, for a lot of you guys, you've been deciding consciously that you no longer want to be pulled into old habits due to your subconscious beliefs, things that you can't see because the 12th house is invisible to the 1st house. The North Node is in your 1st house, and it's part of a grand fire trine that's happening between Mercury, the North Node, and Mars. But all of those are retrograde. I mean, the North Node is always retrograde, but Mercury's going to turn direct. But this grand fire trine for you guys that's happening in your 1st, 5th, and 9th house is really allowing there to be an ignition of your inner fire. Nothing is ready to really be acted upon right now. Even though Mercury turns direct, Mars is still retrograde. So our planet of action is still retrograde. So it's not like the best time to start moving forward with something. But I definitely see some clarity coming around. It could be some sort of, I keep hearing creative project for a lot of you guys, or something to do with creativity and love and romance, because that's definitely the Knight of Cups, but your 5th house is also indicated. For some of you guys, it could be some clarity about some travel plans or some higher education or some legal matters or something like that, or some publishing matters. But you're gaining some clarity about this, and it's not yet time to act on it. It's more for you to have some clarity and some understanding. Let's see if the tarot has anything else to say for you guys. The Strength card. This to me is really about perseverance, which, if you listen to the first part of my video, I talk about perseverance quite a lot. And I always say for my Aries, you guys feel the energies. Like, you guys out of all signs should listen to the first part of the video always. The Strength card is telling me that you're being called upon to have a lot of inner strength right now. For some of you guys, maybe things aren't going the way that you planned or that you wanted. And this is asking you to continue, and I feel like this is picking up on the grand fire trine with the North Node in your sign, saying like things are gonna work out. It's just this is signifying the inner journey right now. I talked about that in the first part of the video too, where this feels like an inner journey, because we got the sun in Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius. There's a lot of exploring energy, but I feel like for you specifically, it is very internal. And I'm excited though, because I feel like this is reigniting some sort of fire that may have been missing lately. And the go-ahead to some sort of a creative project. Yeah. I don't know, Aries, let me know if you guys are working on something. It feels like you are starting a new venture, but it has to do with money or creativity, or I'm sorry, like love or creativity. And this is a pentacle card, so there is money. So it feels like a lot of you guys are wanting to start your own business, or starting some sort of a side hustle or something, and that's what's changing in your immediate environment from this full moon, that your day-to-day is going to be changing. So Aries, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. For my Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, this full moon is happening in your second house. Your second house is a house of what you value in terms of resources, but also how you value yourself. This is the house of income, your job, how you make money, how you spend money, your self-worth, and your self-esteem. So if you think back to June 6th of 2024, early June, what intentions or what was being started in that part of your chart around then? Maybe it was a new way of making money, or a desire to have a new way of making money that is now coming to a fruition, that's coming to a culmination or a peak. You're seeing some tangible results from that now. Maybe it was just an idea that you had, and now it's coming to a full circle. Now, I do want to say that Saturn and Neptune are sitting in your 11th house, and Neptune is squaring this full moon. So it feels like there is something that has to be sacrificed. Why do I feel like the way that you want to make money now, it requires some sort of a sacrifice of some network, community, or friends? Yeah, I'm sensing that there is a new direction. There has been a new direction on how you want to make money, and Ten of Swords, interesting, and Knight of Cups. Yeah, there seems to be like a new direction you want to take with making money. Maybe that's coming to fruition. Maybe, you know, you got a new job. Maybe you started a new business. But the Neptune square from the 11th is saying that it requires the sacrifice of old dreams. Or maybe some communities that you were a part of didn't pan out the way that you'd wanted. And so now you're kind of grieving that and recognizing that in order for you to move forward and make money and have success and increase your self-worth, you have to find a new community, new groups, new organizations, new hopes, new dreams, new achievements. Your ruler around this time is conjunct Pluto. So there is an intensity to you right now, and you are wanting to kind of branch out and do something different, because this is in your 10th house. I really definitely feel for a lot of you guys that there is something very new that you want to do with your 10th and 11th house things. So like I said, career, achievements, organizations, something is changing around there. And what happens oftentimes is, you know, with the 10 of Swords, actually, this is great because it's telling me that you're at the end of some sort of a painful cycle. I talk a lot about in the first part of the video for the full moon about the last couple of years and Neptune. Make sure you listen to that if you haven't already. But maybe this is an indication for you guys that you're coming into something new, because the 10, as you can see, there's a dawn rising. Yes, this looks so painful, and this person may feel like there's so much loss, betrayal, a very difficult time that has recently past or is coming to an end now. And then you've got the Knight of Cups. So this makes me feel like it's something creative. Something is changing in creativity or love and romance, because the Sun and Mercury are in your 8th house, and this is a very watery house. It's also a money house, but I'm wondering if there is a new sort of fresh beginning that you're having in terms of shared finances or shared emotional intimacy. And if that is bringing you some sort of relief from this past cycle. Yeah, the word I heard was crisis, which once again is a major theme of the first part of the video that I did. It feels like there has been a long crisis period. Now, this, you know, is still some sort of an illumination that you're getting on events that may have puzzled you. So you may be getting some sort of illumination on some money matters. Yeah, see, that's so interesting. I said crisis, and then this comes up, which is really ultimately a card of crisis, because especially for Taurus, because this is change. This is some foundation that was not well built that is falling down. Or it's not even that it wasn't built well. You know, I talk a lot about the Neptune square. Sometimes we build foundations on what we believe to be our true selves, or stable foundations at the time, and then we later on recognize that it actually wasn't built on the best foundations, and maybe there was some sort of self-deception or deception from other people, and that created this situation where we thought we were stable, but it actually wasn't. And maybe at one point, whatever you built, maybe your career, the way that you make money was stable and was bringing value to you, but it's no longer, you've changed, and now that foundation is no longer valid and it's breaking down. So this also could be something to do with a relationship, some sort of crisis that has happened or is happening within a deep, intimate bond because of the 9th house the Sun in the 8th house. And you've got Mercury going direct in the 8th house, so maybe you understand something now. You come to some idea of clarity about deep, intimate bonds, or something about your self-worth, or about how you make money, or shared resources that creates this crisis in you, that creates this moment of like understanding. What I will say, like I said in the first part of the video, is that Neptune is squaring the Sun and the Moon. So you may gain some clarity from Mercury going direct, but you don't have the full picture yet. So during this full moon, there's a heightened emotion. Try your best not to get super pulled down into like reacting or acting from a place of emotions, because there may be some sort of you may think you have the full picture, but you don't. You just have the piece of the puzzle now. Give it some time. But something is going through a major transformation right now. So either relationships or money. You have a grand fire trine with the North Node in Aries in your 12th, and Mercury in Sagittarius in your 8th, and then you've got Mars in Leo in your 4th. But they're all retrograde. The nodes are always retrograde. But it's this, I think you're coming to some sort of deep emotional understanding about something, and you're really gaining like emotional clarity on situations that need to transform. But because everything's retrograde, it's not the perfect time to act on it yet. All right, so Taurus, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Gemini Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your 1st house of identity, of your perception and your attitude, your physical appearance, and your body. So what was happening around June 6th of this year, around your birthday probably? What seeds were you planting? Did you want to change your attitude about life? Did you want to change your appearance and how you physically appear to the world? Did you want to change something about your body? Did you want to change something about your identity? Did you want people to see you as something different than they had before? You may be seeing some sort of a culmination, some sort of fruition of that now. And there's also some sort of an illumination that's happening. Maybe some sort of an understanding that you're getting about yourself that you needed. And this is being squared by Neptune in the 10th. I wonder if a lot of you guys are having some regrets about your life direction, or having some thoughts about past mistakes of your life direction. I did a overview for this full moon. I'll have that link down below. Make sure you check that out, because I talk a lot about the past couple of years specifically. But you know, Neptune in the 10th has a lot of qualities. But right now, because it's squaring the sun and the moon and during this full moon, I'm wondering, like, yeah, if you aren't having some sort of, there's some sort of a need for you to be very compassionate about why you are where you are. Because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and it's ruled by, rules the mind, a lot of times as Geminis, you know, I'm a Gemini sun, we tend to over-identify with the thoughts. And that can be troublesome, because it can make us believe that we are our thoughts, which is not true. And so why I'm bringing that up is we can be very critical and just very mean internally, verbally to ourselves over past mistakes, because we over-identify with the thoughts. You know, the thought saying, you should have done this, why'd you do that, that was a bad mistake. And so for a lot of you guys, it's like life direction, status, career. Maybe there's some sort of a and you know, Neptune being in your sign at some point, or I'm sorry, being in Pisces at some point has squared your Gemini placement. And when it does that, it brings confusion, disillusionment, kind of like how it is squaring the sun right now in Sagittarius and the moon. So, and Neptune's been here since 2011. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, maybe you made some decisions that you weren't really sure of, that you thought you were sure on, and then you later on found out that, like, why did I do that? Or, you know, now you're looking back and like, what was I thinking? Because maybe there was a lack of clarity. And that same thing is happening now, but maybe you're getting some sort of an answer about that. And it's really time for you to forgive yourself. It's really time for you to have compassion for yourself. Yeah, it is. And maybe this is now you understanding that, you know, getting illuminated to something and having some sort of clarity, because your ruler, Mercury, is going direct in your 7th house. So, you know, this is impacting your 1st, 7th, and 10th. Your angular foundational houses are being impacted right now. There is I think a lot of Geminis are coming to a really deep place of, like, understanding and clarity about where they're at. Do they want to be here? Is this where they want to continue going? And for a lot of you guys, this is having to do with relationships, because the sun and Mercury are in your 7th house. So during the last few weeks, while Mercury's been retrograde, you've been thinking about relationships. You've been thinking about who you want in your life and what kind of relationships are important to you. And now I think you're getting some extra information that maybe you weren't privy to while Mercury was direct or retrograde. And it's not going to go direct until 12 hours after this moon. So yeah, just give it some time, because when it stations direct, it's very intense, and a lot of times it can bring a lot of, like, thoughts and anxiety, and yeah, it's definitely gets a little bit worse before it gets better. So just be wary of that. Don't make any life-changing decisions if you don't have to during this time, because the sun squaring your sign and the sun in your 7th house, it may be kind of not giving you complete understanding and awareness of what's going on in your life or in other people in your life's lives. Goodness. You may think you understand, but I think for most of us, we don't have a full understanding. Now, you've got the North Node in your 11th house, and Mercury is in your 7th house, like I said, and Mars and Leo in your 3rd house. Mars going backward in your 3rd house right now tells me that you want to be very aware of your communication. When you start conflict during Mars retrograde, especially when it's in your third house. And you know, Geminis, we can have a really spicy mouth, okay? If you start conflict during Mars retrograde, it's generally not going to be in your favor. So be really clear about the words that you're speaking, and understanding that this is a time with that grand fire trine. It's a time of mental understanding for you, right? You're getting clear on kind of the environments that you want to be in. You are getting clear about the people that you want to have in your life. And this may mean that you're recognizing that some people don't fit that. Don't start conflict. It would be my biggest advice. Instead, be very generous. And when I say generous, it's not always financial. I mean, this is a financial card, so this may be some sort of something happening with your finances during this time, or in the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's a time of sharing your finances with others, or other people are sharing them with you. But I honestly feel like for you guys, it's more about being generous in the sense of giving other people the generosity that you'd like them to give you, in terms of try to think that they're coming from the best place possible, especially if it's someone that you know. Be more generous. Be more generous with believing that they're not coming from ill intentions, because you may still be like kind of not understanding everything clearly, and so you may be prone to like acting out, like I said. But try to be more generous with and more understanding of other people. Yeah, see, there is a desire for you to, or a need for you right now to be a lot more, why is this, okay, a lot more collaborative, a lot more understanding, compassionate, and trying to get along with people right now. Because like I said, Mars in the third retrograde can get real spicy. When you want to say something, tell yourself, you know, let's give it some time. Let's give it some time. If you feel the need to break up with a partner right now, out of nowhere, you feel like you figured it out, just give it a few days, okay? I mean, trust your intuition, but what I'm seeing is like, you're being asked to be the bigger person right now. You have to be the bigger person. You have to let the nice twin win, okay? Otherwise, I do think that this is going to be, this is going to turn out not the way that you wanted. And this is the thing. So this is a full moon in your first house. So it's like, who do you want to be? What do you want your legacy to be? It's not just about career. It's about who you are. And when people think of you, they remember you as somebody who was kind, who was generous, who gave people the benefit of the doubt. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't figure out a way to say it. You know, Mercury is retrograde as I'm filming this. I'm a Gemini. Mars is retrograde. I have a lot of Mars, a lot of Leo placements. Woo, I'm trying my best out here. Just one last card here. Yeah, it just feels like for a lot of you guys, you're being impacted heavily by this Neptune squaring the moon and squaring the sun in your opposite sign. So really, like I said in the first part of the video, there is a cosmic chill pill being offered to us during the end of this year. Let's take it. And deal with everything internally. Everything feels like this is an inner journey that you're on. This is a lot of inner work that you're going through right now. And allow yourself to let go of any of your past mistakes that you feel are holding you back, because you have to decide who you want to be now, right? And it's like, yeah, we started this journey in January, but June of this past year, and now it's coming to culmination. But you know, next year Uranus is going into your sign as well, and I feel like this is just the beginning of a whole new you. Ooh, I just got chills. And so this is an opportunity for you to practice that. Practice this new person that you want to be, not give into deception or thinking that because things have gone a certain way in the past and it was negative or difficult, that it's going to go that same way now. So you have to be aware of that. No, be open, be generous, be compassionate to everyone. First you. Okay, I think that's all I got for you guys. Make sure to let me know how this resonates for you guys. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your 12th house, the house of spirituality, the house of rest and solitude, peace, grief, healing, overseas travel. This is a house of retreat, our subconscious beliefs, our self-undoing and deception. Well, not only is that happening, but you know, you guys have the Sun and Mercury. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? This is so Neptunian. And the Tower. Wow. But I was just going to say, you guys have not only this full moon happening in Neptune's house, the 12th house, but Neptune is squaring the Sun and the Moon that are sitting in your 12th house and in your 6th house. So wow, we'll get into that. But first I want to just talk about the fact that there was a new moon in Gemini in June of this year, June 6th. What were you starting in your 12th house? Maybe there was a diving deep into your subconscious, trying to figure out subconscious patterns that are no longer working for you or that are holding you back. Maybe there was a desire to do some sort of retreat from the world and go into solitude, or go to a retreat somewhere far away, do some spiritual healing. This is a very healing house. It's like a restful solitude space where we go to, I just heard like hermit, like the hermit card, where we go internally for the answers and stop looking out in the outside world. And so for a lot of you guys, I think that this has something to do with a job, or money, or your daily responsibilities or daily routines, because Neptune is squaring the Sun in your 6th. And Mercury is also in the 6th house, about to go direct. So Neptune often asks some sort of a sacrifice from us when it's especially in a hard aspect. And so for many of you guys, maybe you're understanding that the kind of work that you do, the kind of money that you make, your daily routines, your health, your responsibilities that you take on, have not been in alignment with your soul. Make sure you guys watch the first part of the video I did about the overview, because I talk a lot about Neptune, and I think he's playing really heavily here for everyone, but for you guys specifically, because it's happening in Neptune's house. And I got the 7 of Cups, which is very like a card about confusion and not knowing what to do. So maybe for a lot of you guys, there's confusion on like your work life. And what you kind of want, how you want to be of service to the world, because the 6th, 12th house is very service oriented. So maybe there's like you want to be of service, but you're kind of feeling like there's loss there right now. Like you're not being of service the way that you want to be of service. The Tower tells me that I'm feeling like this full moon could illuminate something for you guys in your subconscious. And then, you know, Mercury goes direct in your 6th house, and you gain a little bit of clarity. You know, Sun and Moon are still being squared by Neptune, but you gain some clarity, and it's going to come with time, because on this day, Mercury's stationing, and when it's stationing, it's very powerful. So it's going to take some time, maybe a few days or a couple of weeks after this full moon, where you guys gain some clarity about your job, service, money, service that you want to give to the world. But during this full moon, I feel like for a lot of you guys, there's going to be some sort of a illumination to some sort of a pattern or some sort of self-undoing behavior that you've been a part of, that you obviously weren't doing consciously, that you recognize now that anything that has gone wrong or not worked out, it may partially be due to this belief. And in recognizing that, you can move forward in a new way that is more aligned. But it's, you know, when I see the Tower card, it can be painful. It can be painful because it's the breaking down of something that we thought we understood, that we thought had foundations. And it's like almost like all of a sudden you get some sort of insight that breaks something down that you were not expecting to, you know, to hear. And yeah, I feel like for a lot of you guys, there's a lot of confusion because there's a lot of like options out there. And you know, this is what Neptune does, is it kind of diffuses everything. Everything kind of becomes available to us, but also out of reach. And so we're kind of like in this weird space where we are confused and we're trying to figure out like what we want to do, but there's so many options of what we want to do. Give it time. Because right now you guys have a fire trine that's happening with the North Node in your 10th house, Mars in your 2nd house, in Leo in your 2nd house, and then the Sun and Mercury in your 6th house. So this is very like money oriented. I feel like a lot of you guys maybe like maybe you have a job and you just don't like it, or you're feeling like you want something different but you don't know what, or you don't have a job and you're trying to figure it out, like what do I actually want to do in this world. And you're getting some sort of clarity about that during this because of this grand fire trine, but it's not time to move yet. It's not time to move yet because Mars is retrograde. This is more about an inner understanding and an inner journey than it is about taking action right now. Yeah, wow, this is another Neptunian card. Wow, there is a lot of Neptune energy happening for you guys right now. And, you know, the great side of Neptune is transcendence, it's spirituality, it's connection to a divine. So for some of you guys, maybe that's what you're finding, is this connection to the divine beyond the material realm. I talk a lot about this. You guys listen to my first overview that I did if you haven't already, because I talk so much about Neptune. I was very drawn to talk so much about Neptune during that. And for you guys, this is coming up. This could be a very emotional time for you guys, number one, because the moon is our emotions, but it also tells us that we don't have a full understanding yet, and we need to just recognize that there could be some sort of deception or self-deception at play, or something just not being made entirely clear to us. I think the biggest thing for you guys right now is, with any Neptune hard transit, is compassion and self-love and forgiveness for the self. Don't beat yourself up. You know, Cancers, you guys are very emotional. And so when something impacts you emotionally, it tends to kind of take over. And you are so loving and giving of forgiveness to other people generally, right? Cancers sometimes do hold grudges. But when you love someone, you tend to forgive a lot and a lot and a lot. And you don't forget. You never forget, but you forgive. But it's time to forgive yourself and have self-love right now for any things that you feel like didn't go the way you wanted, or when you figure this out about yourself and then you're like, holy crap, I can't believe I did these things. Hold yourself in high regard, okay? Give yourself the love and compassion that you deserve. Your ruler, the moon, is conjunct Jupiter. So I feel like this is big emotions for you guys. Please don't act on them unless you absolutely have to. It's like life-threatening. Please sit with the emotions. Wait. Give yourself a couple of days before you move forward and do anything that's like life-changing. Full moons are not a time for that. They're more time for like illumination and insight and releasing. So whatever this thing is, or whatever it is that's been holding you back, whatever you recognize you're illuminated to, let it go. Let it go and move forward. Jupiter is going to be entering you guys' sign next year. Jupiter loves being in your sign. There's a lot yet to come. Fortune will be favoring you soon. So, all right, Cancers, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, there is a full moon in Gemini happening in your 11th house. Your 11th house is your house of your networks, of your dreams, goals, wishes for the future. It's a house of the organizations, your friends, the people that support you. It's also a house of humanitarian causes. It's a house of achievements as well. A lot of times the achievements that we set in the 10th house, we can achieve in the 11th, or we can gain financially from those achievements in the 11th. So for a lot of you guys, maybe some sort of back in June when we had a new moon in Gemini, maybe there was this new beginning on, and 11th house can also be like social media as well. So, or like social groups. Maybe there was a new intention to start something on some sort of a social platform. Maybe there was some sort of a group that you joined, some sort of organization that you joined. Maybe You put a wish out there for your future, and maybe now you're starting to see the culmination, the fruition of that during this full moon. Whatever you started around June, you're now seeing something tangible from that. And during this full moon, you're going to get illuminated to something to even further your understanding of what you've achieved here. The sun is in your 5th house. For a lot of you guys, this could be some sort of a creative or romantic thing that we're talking about. Maybe it was, it was some sort of a creative project that you started within a group, because the sun and Mercury are on your 5th. And Mercury going back through your 5th could have been having you revise a lot of ideas about creativity and about self-expression and about love and romance and pleasure and joy. And now it's going to go direct on the same day in your 5th house with the sun there. So I feel like for you guys, if there's anything creatively that you want to be doing, this is a great time. This is also a really good time to just have some fun. Honestly, having a full moon in the 11th with Mercury in the 5th, it's like a really good time to celebrate. Yeah, celebrate your achievements, celebrate how far you've come, just have some fun. Now, Mars is in your sign and it's retrograde, and it's forming a grand trine with North Node in Aries in your 9th, and then of course the sun and Mercury in your 5th. You may be coming to some sort of an understanding about a creative project or a way that you want to express yourself out in the world, because the 1st and the 5th house have a lot to do about self-expression. The 1st house is like how we physically show up, but how we express ourselves is the 5th. So the fact that you're having a grand fire trine, which you are a fire sign obviously, in your 1st, 5th, and 9th house tells me that you're understanding something about yourself, and that has something to do with your creativity, your self-expression, the way that you enjoy your life, but also your higher ideals, beliefs, spirituality, your long-term vision, right? Like the vision for your life and being the optimism that you want to have for your life. You're getting some clarity on that. And this is amazing. But it's not time to move forward yet, right? As we know, Mars is going to go back into your 12th house. There's still some stuff you've got to clear up back in the subconscious before you really start moving forward with any of this. Neptune is sitting in your 8th house, and it's squaring the sun in your 5th and the moon in your 11th. So this square is what I talked a lot about in the first part of my video. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already, because I go in depth about it and I feel like it's coming up for a lot of people really strongly. This Neptunian theme of deception, confusion, lack of clarity, exhaustion. For a lot of us, it could be feeling exhaustion. Neptune's been in your 8th house since 2011. That is forming like a really weird aspect to your sign. It's just something that's kind of quite uncomfortable for you. And it may have created a lot of emotional blind spots. So that means like you may have made a lot of decisions that you don't quite understand, that were driven from an emotional place that was not conscious for you, most likely. And so you're thinking back to from like 2011 to now, and you're probably thinking about like, why did I make that decision? How could I have done that? And this could be regarding your achievements. This could also be regarding your self-expression, romance, love, creativity. Like, why did I choose this instead of that? And what this calls for during this time is a lot of self-compassion and a lot of love and release. Full moons are a time of release. It's time to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made that you literally could not have been aware of, because Neptune in the 8th is very interesting. It's a very weird place to have Neptune. And honestly, when Neptune moves into the 9th house soon, it's going to feel so much easier. I mean, Neptune will always bring some sort of confusion or lack of clarity, but when it goes into the 9th, number one, now it's in an easy aspect to you guys, right? Because it's going to be in Aries, and that's another fire sign, and you can see it. And it can be very spiritual. So it can make your beliefs very spiritual. In the 8th, it's a very confusing place to have Neptune. Just know that. That's my reassurance to you. that if you look back and you think like, why did I make these decisions? Why am I the place that I am? Why are my finances the way that they are? Like, and my relationship to the material realm and my deep emotional commitments to people. Like, maybe your relationships haven't been very healthy or something for most of that transit. And now you're starting to think like, why? Okay, now this is very interesting because I got Ace of Pentacles. Oh, did I get it reversed? I think I just accidentally flipped it. That is so interesting. But I'm getting Pentacles for you guys. This is something to do with your guys' finances. I feel like you guys feel like you missed some, yeah, see, this is what I was saying. That's literally what I was talking about. I feel like maybe for a lot of you guys, there were missed opportunities, or you feel like you missed a lot of opportunities for money, a job, a certain career path that you could have taken. And maybe it was something creative that you didn't. Now, I want to once again reassure you guys, if that is you, you have Taurus on your midheaven as a Leo rising specifically, but Leo sun moon to a lesser degree, you'll feel this way. You really desire, unless other aspects in your chart really balance this out, you really desire stability in your career. If you feel like you missed opportunities in some sort of a job or a creative job or something, know that you were doing it from a place of just desiring that stability. And a lot of times I always talk about this, but because Leo rising specifically have Scorpio on the 4th house, generally there is more of a turbulent inner life that like no one really knows about. And so we seek a lot of security in our outer public life because we don't feel like we have it internally, because we've got Mars and Pluto ruling over our 4th house, creating a lot of tension and havoc internally and within the home life. So just know that you are trying to maintain some stability, and you have to have compassion for yourself, right? Saturn's in the 8th house right now with Neptune, and it's like not letting us get away with not taking responsibility for our lives. So the opportunities that you feel like you missed, well, now you have a chance to go out and create them, because it's a new day, but you have to be willing to let go of the past and why you did the things that you did. It's not to say don't ever think about them. I think it's important to understand sometimes why we did what we did, but I also feel like when Neptune is in your 8th house, you are driven by a lot of like emotional confusion that you just couldn't know better. Like, but now Saturn's here and it's bringing structure to that part of your chart. And Saturn is asking you to take responsibility of that and to move forward and not make those same mistakes again. But you can't move forward if you keep holding on to the past. What I'm seeing is that there is a new creative opportunity, but you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it if you're just holding on to the past and lamenting why you are where you are and why you're not where you want to be. I thought that a lot in the first part of the video I did too with the tarot card reading. That like when we're in the space of like, oh, why didn't I get it? And why did I do this? We can't see new opportunities that are coming to us. I think this is honestly, really speaking to Mars. Mars is going to go back into the 12th house on January 6th. This is a time for you to be reevaluating yourself. This is a time to be reevaluating your desires and how you want to express yourself in the world. So you have to go inward to do that. You need solitude, and you have to recognize the answers are within you. Now, you can get a guide to help you traverse the inner world if you need to, some sort of a mentor or something, but this is your duty. I feel like Saturn in the 8th is like, okay, you made some mistakes. Let's move forward. What are we going to do now? Are we going to keep repeating them and keep living out of fear? I'm hearing like Saturn the 8th is very much giving me like fear. Like a lot of, it's showing you how much fear you have in intimate bonds and in trusting others, but that requires first trusting yourself. Because when we don't trust other people, we're actually saying that we don't trust that we can handle whatever other people do. Also be wary of heightened emotions in like your love relationships or in any organizations that you're a part of. This full moon is emotionally charged, so just sit with it. before acting. All right, Leos, let me know how this resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, there's a full moon happening in your 10th house. Your 10th house is your career, it's your legacy, it's your public status. It's a house of authority figures, goals, bosses that you may have. It's your legacy. So this is a culmination. This is a fruition, some sort of a peak on something that was began in this part of your chart around 6 months ago, on June 6th or around June 6th, 2024. So this could, for a lot of you guys, be a change in career. There could be something happening in your boss's life. For a lot of you guys, this could be a change of public status, going from single to married, or from retired to working, or working to retired. Something public is happening for you guys in regards to your public life. Now, the ruler of this moon, which is your ruler, is in the opposite house, the 4th house, with the sun. And it's going to go direct around 12 hours after this full moon. There is definitely, this could, for a lot of you guys, something private going public. So it could be like some sort of a change in the home or something, or emotional life that, and then you announce it publicly or something like that. But for a lot of you guys, I feel like this is an understanding that you're having about where your life direction needs to go. Something's being illuminated to you now about that, and it has something to do with, interesting, it's not a card I would ever associate with Virgo energies, so that's interesting. That's coming up for you. Yeah, you're getting clarity on where you want to go in this life, what you want to accomplish in this world, and you're seeing that the internal life has to be on board with that as well. And Neptune is squaring both of these signs from your 7th house. Now, Neptune's been in your 7th house since 2011, so it's been bringing a lot of confusion, illusions, deception even, and maybe even self-deception to your relationships. Could have also spiritualized your relationships quite a bit, so you could have met really spiritual people, or your relationships could have gone through this sort of like dissolution because Neptune dissolves, but in that dissolution, you can find oneness in something greater than yourselves. So Neptune is a very transcendent planet, but right now it's squaring your the sun and the moon in your 4th and 10th house. Maybe some of you guys are thinking back about decisions that you made regarding relationships, one-on-one relationships, and you're just wondering, like, why did I do that? Like, why did I make that decision? But what's interesting is Saturn's been in your 7th house for the last year and a half, since March of 2023, and it's almost like Saturn is like undoing all of the chaos that Neptune has been bringing since 2011. Because over the past year and a half, Saturn has been trying to bring more structure, more boundaries to how you are in relationships and to your relationship in general. Whereas Neptune dissolves boundaries, right? So over the past year and a half, this has been kind of an interesting thing where, there is this continued dissolution in your relationships and how you relate to people, yet there is this new way. A lot of really interesting energies happening in your house of relationships, but now it's looking to your 4th house and your 10th house, and it's saying, like, are we going to continue the same patterns? This is also having to do with Mercury going direct in your 4th house after 3 weeks of having time to look internally and figure out, like, why is my home situation the way that it is? I'm feeling like a lot of Virgos feel confusion right now. They're not really sure what the next step is. And what I will say is that that's precisely how the energies should be feeling for you. If they're not, then obviously, you've got a whole chart that has a bunch of other placements in it. But I just feel like for a lot of you guys, there is some sort of confusion that is gonna start clearing up soon, because you've got this grand fire trine happening in your 4th, 8th, and 12th, with Mars retrograde in your 12th house, and then the Mercury in Sagittarius in your 4th. And North Node Aries in your 8th. Maybe you're getting some clarity on some emotional patterns that have kept you in unsatisfying relationships, or not even necessarily unsatisfying relationships, but that could definitely be the case. But for a lot of you guys, it could be that like you haven't been showing up in relationships in a way that you want to show up. And this could be tied to some childhood patterns that you have. And maybe you're gaining some clarity on that during this time or for the couple of weeks after, because Mercury is going to take some time to start moving direct. But all of, Mars is still retrograde in your 12th house too. So taking action right now on what you understand is not recommended, because you may feel like you have gained some clarity, but there is still something for you to discover, especially in that 12th house of yours, because something in your subconscious is really needing to be reviewed, and you need to understand where you are acting from, because it may be coming from places of undoing and self-deception rather than self-awareness and conscious knowledge. And we all want to be aware of what we're doing, right? Like that's what creates wholeness in our lives, is being aware of what we're actually doing. And what Neptune's doing right now is saying, it's kind of diluting you. So if you don't have to make super big decisions right now, don't. My recommendation is don't make super big decisions right now. Yeah, King of Cups. This is really like having that grand fire trine in your water houses, and your ruler in the 4th house going direct, and the sun there, part of this lunation. It really feels like you guys are getting some clarity on your emotional world. So maybe for a lot of you guys, this is clearing something up and you're understanding something so you can move forward in a more balanced way, especially regarding your home life, your relationships, and your public status or career. The Emperor is really interesting to me here, because this is like an Aries card, and you've got North Node and Aries in your 8th house. So this is kind of, I feel like in the last reading I did for you guys, there was a lot of emphasis on the self, on you and who you want to be in this world. And I feel like that's still coming up strongly, but I wonder if the Emperor is more about reestablishing your desires for yourself. I feel like this is speaking to like, okay, we've gained some sort of emotional clarity, and we have some sort of emotional authority now where we can still remain objective in a way that involves our emotions. So like it's remaining objective, but not letting go of all subjectivity and all emotions related to looking at a situation. The king is saying like he's mastered these, and he's able to now use them in a way that is useful rather than just, crying, which this is perfect because Virgos don't really like emotional messiness generally. It's almost like you are gaining clarity in a masterful way, and with that, you're able to start this journey of understanding where your desire is coming from. I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys, what's coming to fruition in the 10th house and completion in the 10th house, or if you're gaining clarity on your public status, on your career, your legacy, what that clarity is. Some of you guys, this is like inner child work. This is also a card of the past. So for some of you guys, going back to what you consider home may be very healing for you during this time. Mars is in your 12th house, even though it's retrograde. Mars is the planet of overseas, 12th house is the house of overseas travel, but it doesn't have to be that. You could, visiting your hometown a couple of streets away, I don't know, whatever. But this can sometimes have something to do with that. But this is a card of like, when I see this, it's like inner child work and innocence. It's like very childhood like. And so I wonder if with your ruler going direct in the 4th house of home, of emotions, of your private life, if you guys are not regaining some sort of lost innocence, or you're reconnecting to your inner child and re-examining a lot of things that happen in childhood, and you're gaining some sort of understanding about how that's affected your whole life direction, the way that you grew up, the emotional patterns that you've held on to for so long. You're recognizing that, you know, you want to rewrite some of these stories, and you want to rewrite them in a way that it brings change into all avenues of your life. Virgos, you guys are entering, starting next year, really into this brand new journey of the self. When the South Node goes in your sign, there's so many changes that happen in your life, and not all of them feel super easy. Regardless, there is change. So this is, I think, preparing you guys to make that next year and the year after that too, the most fruitful for you, by having you guys re-examining your desires, reconnecting to that childhood innocence. Be really wary of any conflicts right now, you guys, because starting conflicts is not really called for right now. Like I said, for 12 hours after this moon, at least, your ruler is still retrograde. So yeah, be wary of your communications. Be cautious of what you say and how you say it and what kind of conflicts you're starting right now. It's not really about that. It's about this inner journey. It's about the inner work. It's about navigating the inner exploration right now through the insights that we're receiving, and then letting go of anything that is no longer serving us. So let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Libra sun, moon, and rising, you have a full moon in Gemini happening in your 9th house. The 9th house is a house of philosophy, spirituality, long distance travel. It's a house of law and legal matters, higher education. It's a house in which we find purpose, truth, and meaning in our lives. The Sun and Mercury are in your 3rd house. Mercury is going to go direct 12 hours after this, and it's the ruler of the moon. You've got Neptune in the 6th squaring the full moon. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, since Neptune has been in this part of your chart since 2011, now, side note, I talked a lot about Neptune in the first part of this video that I did. I'll have that link down below, so make sure you check that out, because I feel like this is affecting you guys quite strongly. And I feel like there's a lot of confusion for you guys right now regarding your job. And it's interesting because Neptune's been in the 6th house: job, health, illness, pets, service, daily responsibilities and routines. It's been in that part of your chart since 2011. And then over the past year and a half, Saturn's been in there. And while Neptune dissolves, Saturn builds boundaries. So it's like you've been dissolving this part of your chart, and maybe a lot of you guys got into service-oriented jobs that you weren't really sure why you did that, or now you're looking back and you're like, God, that wasn't aligned with me. Like there was some confusion, or you were doing it for some reason that was not grounded in reality. And maybe you thought that, you know, you could help people and you could save people, but it wasn't what was right for you. And over the past year and a half, you've been making changes to this if you figure that out, because Saturn's been in there and it's like, no, let's build something now from where you are that's grounded in reality, in alignment with who you are. And yet right now, there may be some confusion around your job situation, maybe some sort of illness. A lot of times Neptune brings like really elusive health issues that you can't pinpoint. And that's generally talking about something deeper that's happening. I got the full reverse for you guys. It feels like for a lot of you guys, you're trying to have like a new start, or you were trying to have a new start around this full moon, or maybe the couple weeks after, but it's like not really going as planned. And I think part of the reason for this is because South Node is in your sign. And I also just feel like Neptune is creating some stressors in your belief system, in your sense of optimism, and in your daily routines and environments, and your immediate environment, and your thoughts and communications. It's putting some stress on those areas of your life right now, due to you not understanding what's happening in your work and in your health. Like it's starting to really affect your sense of optimism and faith. And so you're like trying to start this new thing, but there's confusion right now. There's lack of clarity. Even though Mercury goes direct like 12 hours after this full moon, there is still a lack of clarity that is happening because Neptune is squaring the sun and the moon. So this is your invitation to take a cosmic chill pill. Your ruler Venus is conjunct Pluto at this time as well. That's very intense. And that's happening in your 5th house of love, romance, creativity. There is a lot of transformation happening in that part of your chart, maybe within your love relationships, creativity, your sense of self-expression could be changing quite drastically during this time. Really, it's your relationships to other people. And with, wow, okay, Page of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys are desiring something new in your work life, and maybe you recently wanted to start that, but it didn't feel right, or you did try to start it and it was denied to you in some way, or you want to start it but you're not sure how. And I think during this full moon, even though it's in your 9th house, maybe you're gaining some sort of clarity around, or maybe you're getting a new idea about a new way to make money, a new way to express yourself. The North Node is in your 7th house, and it's creating this, it's part of a grand trine with the Mercury in Sagittarius and then Mars in Leo. So this is your 11th, 3rd, and 7th house. And you're definitely gaining some sort of understanding about what kind of organizations you want to be a part of. But it's not time to move on that yet. It's not time to move toward your dreams and wishes quite yet. It's more trying to understand what's happening. But I'm feeling that for a lot of you guys, there is a lot of confusion or a lack of groundedness and understanding in why things are the way they are. I want you to have a lot of compassion and love for yourself, because when Neptune goes through certain parts of our chart, it can create this lack of clarity. And so maybe for you guys, you're in a job that you feel like is misaligned and you're not really sure how you got here. And if you're feeling that way, I want you to really forgive yourself, because you can now move forward. Saturn allows us to work hard towards our goals. So whatever your goal is with your job, how you want to be of service, your health, you can really start taking control of that now. It's just that you have to be willing to let go of the past. And that's what this full moon is asking of us, is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know and not being aware of what Neptune was deluding you from. You know, there's a lot of deception, a lot of self-deception that Neptune brings to us. And it's not until that dissipates that we look back and say, what were we thinking? But at the time, we were clouded in some way. So for a lot of you guys, yeah, I feel like this like false start in a job, or maybe, you know, you're wanting to start a new venture or making money or a new job, but you're feeling like resistance. And I think that's because it's just not the time right now for you guys, especially going after anything, because Mars is retrograde. Your ruler is actually opposite the Mars. So that's what it is. There's opposition. You want to start something new, but there's opposition. Yeah, I feel like you guys, I mean, I've been saying this about Libras for a long time, but I feel like you guys are feeling maybe whatever this opposition is, or whatever this, you know, wanting to start something new and feeling like you can't. It's been hard. That's what I was saying. Like, I feel like it's affecting your optimism. It's affecting your faith and in the world, and your sense of like meaning and purpose in life. And that's what this full moon is kind of illuminating to you. But I want you to see, number one, how much yellow I'm getting for you guys. And yellow is a color of happiness, and it's a color of joy, and it's a very positive color. And even with this card, which is a card of loss and betrayal and victimhood, this is the 10, which means that it's the end of a cycle, and the dawn is coming. So there is a new day coming. This is ending for you guys. And there is a lot of joy to be found here. And, you know, with Pluto and Venus in your 5th house of joy and pleasure, this is where you are being tested too. It's like, how can I find pleasure and joy even when things aren't going the way that I want them to be going? And how can I regain a sense of faith and optimism? Because what I'm feeling is like, this is a time that you're not getting what you want for a lot of you guys. But that doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. It's just asking you to kind of wind down before moving forward. Yeah. Find a way to bring balance into your world. 100%. You know, this is actually a Sagittarian card, and the Sun and Mercury are in Sagittarius. And it's about blending our intellect with our intuition. And Libras, because you guys are an air sign, tend to be dominated a lot by logic. And I feel like when Mars goes back into Cancer on January 6th, it's going to give you this understanding of what do you actually want out of this life, right? Because when it goes into Cancer, it goes into your 10th house of public status, career, achievement, goals. And then when it moves back into your 11th in Leo and goes direct, you can actually start moving toward that. But right now you're in this like holding space. I talk a lot about that in that first video I did. You're like in this holding space, and I feel like specifically for you guys, I'm feeling that, and the cards are showing that it's not time yet, and it's gonna come, and when it comes, it'll come quickly. So I need you to have faith. Full moon in your 9th house, I need you to have faith. I need you to trust that when it comes, it's gonna be at the right time, and it's gonna come quickly. And you're no longer going to feel like, woe is me. Why is it happening for everybody else and not me? Why is everyone seeming to be moving forward, but I can't seem to move forward? You're very much deserving of this, but the South Node in the 1st house is trying to deconstruct and reconstruct only the things that are actually true to you now. And that's hard. That's not an easy process. So, Libras, let me know how that resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. So for my Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this full moon is happening in your 8th house of Gemini. And the 8th house is a house of deep intimacy. It's a house of shared finances, intimacy, and emotions. You're really getting a hold of your emotions lately, I feel like. Like, not in a way of suppression of like, oh, I've got a hold of them, but like understanding them and integrating them more so you can become like not ruled by your emotions, which is really amazing because you guys are a water sign. And one of your rulers is retrograde right now, Mars. Okay, so the 8th house is transformation, it's intimacy, it's shared resources and shared finances. It's a house of depth and healing, and it's a house of addictions. So maybe some addictions are coming up to be broken at this time, or maybe you've been working on breaking some addictions or addictive cycles or negative patterns and habits since June of this year when we had a new moon in that part of your chart. Look at this, another king. So this feels like for a lot of you guys, there is like a masculine, regardless of your gender, there is a masculine uprising within you. Meaning that there is more structure in your life. There is more structure in your internal world, in your watery 8th house even. But just in general, I'm feeling like you guys have gone through a really messy process, which is necessary, right? That's a feminine chaos. And then we reach points, it's just always going up and down, it's always a wave. We reach points where we gain mastery, or we have a more objective understanding, and we kind of rise above. And what it's saying for you guys is that like you're ready to put this to use. And you're ready to, bring some more order and structure into your life. That's what I keep hearing. Now the Sun is in your 2nd house, and Mercury is going direct in your 2nd house just 12 hours after this full moon. So you're gaining some clarity about financial matters. You're gaining some clarity about your sense of self-worth and value because you've been thinking about these things over the last 3 weeks while Mercury's been retrograde. And what kind of, contribution you want to have financially to maybe your relationships or to your business partnerships. Now, Neptune is in your 5th house, and it has been since 2011. Now, in the first part of the video, that I did for this full moon, I talk a lot about Neptune because I think it's very prominent in this full moon. So make sure you check that out. The Chariot reversed. Interesting. I just have to say with this really quick before I move forward with my last thought is that I feel like for a lot of you guys, because one of your rulers is retrograde right now, Mars in Leo in your 10th house, this is a time when it's like you're gaining mastery over your emotions and there's some sort of inspiration or creative fire that it's not new because the king is not new, that you've been working on, that you are seeing, getting more clear on some sort of creative project, some sort of spiritual thing that you're working on. Maybe your own sense of spirituality, your emotional life as well, that it's like you're getting clarity on it, but this is very much an internal process. And the chariot reverse tells me that like a lot of times, because you guys are such an intense sign, when you gain clarity, you're like, okay, let's act. And this card is telling me like, it's just reaffirming to me, this is not time to do that. It's not about your will and determination because Mars is retrograde. It's about your understanding right now. That's it. It's all about your understanding. How can you stay with that without feeling like you have to? Are you kidding me? This is crazy. So once again, like this to me is mastery and order. And the North Node is in your 6th house and it's making a grand fire trine with the sun Mercury in Sagittarius in your 6th, in your 2nd. I'm a Gemini, Mercury's retrograde, Mars is retrograde, and going over a bunch of my planets and points. So please excuse me. I'm trying my best here. So North Node is in your 6th house and it's making a trine with Mercury in your 2nd house and Mars in your 10th house. So it feels like there is this structuring, because these are all earth houses. It feels like there is this structuring that's happening specifically for you guys with some sort of, this is affecting, because I'm getting all 3 kings. So it could even be your finances. It could be your creativity and your spirituality. It could be love, romance, and emotional world. There is a structuring. There is like I'm taking care of it. I'm stepping into my power and I'm taking care of things. I'm no longer shying away from any responsibilities. I'm no longer wallowing. It's a sense of stepping into your power internally and saying, this is, okay, I got this. I'm going to do what's necessary to fix what needs fixing. Yeah, see, this is like, for me, this feels very much like you guys are in a stage of, for a lot of you guys, because Neptune's in the 5th squaring these placements, there's been like a lot of confusion regarding your love life and your creative life. And also your other ruler, Pluto, is conjunct Venus right now. So very much transformation in relationships, depth in relationships, or your partner going through transformations. But it feels like for a lot of you guys, Neptune in the 5th has brought confusion in your love life and your romance and your sense of expression. And maybe you guys are finding some footing again when it comes to that and how you can make money in order to make those things better, I'm hearing. But just to let you know, Neptune is squaring the sun and the moon, so we're still not 100% clear on what exactly we're doing when it comes to our creative nature and our love nature. But it's really time to, a lot of you guys may be traveling during this time as well. But this is telling me that it's really time for you guys to step out of your comfort zone. And there's something that you guys have already planned. There's something that you guys have already been working on. It's time for you to slowly move toward it, but not in the way that, you're running after it. Like I said in my first video, this is kind of like the end of the year is like this cosmic chill pill kind of thing. So you're moving towards something new, but you're moving very slowly, and it's more so that like it's because you've built the foundations already. If this is something brand new, then it's That's not what I'm talking about. And that needs some more time to percolate. But if this is something that you've built foundations on before, or you've been here before and you've revisited this idea that you want to move forward with, this may be a time where you're slowly moving toward it. And if there are blockages, you are not pushing through them. Because maybe that's something that you've done in the past. And it's not gonna be fruitful right now. Yeah, there's a lot about your relationships right now. You guys are really... I feel like Scorpios have been having some difficulty within relationships, whether that's one-on-one relationships with their partner or work colleagues or something. There's been a lot of tension there, and I feel like you guys are now recognizing how important it is for you guys to have stability in your relationships, and you're looking for compromises. You're looking to offer something that is more reliable in partnerships, whatever that is, creative partnerships, business partnerships, romantic partnerships. The Taurus Scorpio axis is the axis of control. And so maybe you guys are learning that a little bit of loosening of that control is necessary if you guys want things to turn out in a way that isn't so turbulent. And I'm specifically for you guys, I don't know why, I'm feeling like it's money, love, and romance, and creativity. Those are the three things that I keep hearing, and I'm not even sure how that plays out in your chart. So Scorpios, let me know what is going on, what is manifesting or culminating in your 8th house. What kind of transformations have you been having? What's been going on with your shared resources, with your partner's resources, your intimate bonds, your psyche? Are there any addictions or any patterns that you've come to see? Around this full moon, I think you're going to be illuminated to something if you haven't already been illuminated to that yet. Something that's going to help you gain some clarity and gain momentum. I just keep seeing you guys taking very baby steps towards something. You guys are stepping into your power. Wow, I love that for you guys. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys. Scorpios have been feeling, the energy has been feeling, how do I say this? It's been feeling dampened. And it's not quite time to get your groove back. It is definitely starting. It is starting and you can feel it. All right, let me know how it resonates. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. There is a full moon happening in your 7th house of partnerships, of how you relate to other people, business partnerships, relationships, anyone you work with one-on-one, any contracts that you have. So what was started in June of this year around those themes that is now coming to a culmination, peak, or fruition. You may also be getting some sort of an illumination around your relationships and your relating patterns, or some contracts that you're a part of right now, maybe some business partnerships around this full moon, especially once Mercury goes direct, which is 12 hours after this moon. But of course, it's going to take time to like really get going. But you guys are gaining some clarity when it comes to yourself and what you want to accomplish in this world and who you want to be, how you want the world to see you, but also your relationships. And I think maybe by looking at the state of your relationships in your life, it's going to give you some feedback as to that clarity about yourself and how you want to move in this world, because the sun is in your sign and Mercury is in your sign going direct. So the 1st house is about the self and your attitude, and the 7th house is about others. Now, at the same time, Neptune is in Pisces in your 4th house, and it's squaring this. Now, Neptune's been in your 4th house since 2011. And this has been creating a lot of confusion and deception and lack of clarity in your home life and in your internal world. So maybe you felt like your home life for the last 12 years, 13 years has been really hard to pin down. You're not understanding why you make the decisions that you make when it comes to, your emotional world or your home life or your relationship with your family or your parents. Things have been, or maybe they've been confusing to you and they've been acting in ways that you don't understand, or, you're acting in ways towards them that you don't understand. Yet over the last year and a half, Saturn's been in this part of your chart trying to create some boundaries. Now, I just want to say I did make a first part to this video. I'll have that link down below. I talk a lot about Neptune, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already. because this full moon is very Neptunian in nature. I want you guys to recognize that there is a sense that you need to forgive yourself for anything that you did in regards to your home life, your relationship with your parents, your internal emotional world, that you look back on now and you say, why did I do that? That was even like home purchasing, like, why did I do that? Know that when Neptune's in a part of our chart, it can bring some confusion, especially for you guys, because at some point it has squared your sign. And so especially during those points where it squared your sign, so look to, what degree your sun or moon or rising is in Sagittarius, and you see when Neptune was around that, that's probably when you made some decisions that you're like, why did I do that? But Neptune squaring those placements created confusion. So I need you to forgive yourself and have a lot of compassion for the decisions you made around home life, internal world. I got for you guys the Sun and the Four of Swords. So this definitely feels like, I think it's interesting that the Sun is in your sign and you guys got the Sun card. That's just crazy to me. So this is really about you right now. But what I'm hearing is that you guys are usually quite self-expressive. The way you express yourself is very fiery. What I'm hearing though for you guys right now is that, your ruler is retrograde and it's squaring Saturn during this full moon, which is in your 4th house. So this understanding, this sense of this new you, the way that you want to be seen in the world, and it's being reflected by it because you're getting illuminated about your relationships, and it's reflecting back to you of how you move in the world. You are changing the way that you want to show up in the world, but you're not ready to it's not about, I know it sounds weird, but it's not about how other people see you, but it's about how you see yourself right now. It's about what you're doing in your private world that is so interesting. And it's so, there's so much growth there. And maybe people, when you change the internal world, it showcases in the external world. So people are seeing it. But I think it's really more about the internal changes that you're making, and you're recognizing that that's what's really being called to right now, even though the Sun is in your sign. The inner world is what is going to bring you vitality and success. It's rest. It's contemplation. It's not going out there and just expressing yourself and saying, this is me, guys. Because I feel like there's a new creative spark that is coming to you guys. And I think that you guys need to be very rested and very still in order to get this. There's a new creative spark. There's a new spiritual path maybe for some of you guys. In the first part of the video that I did, I talked about how because the moon is conjunct Jupiter and Jupiter is squaring Saturn, which is going to be exact on the 24th. And I already have a video about the first time that happened, but so you feel free to look on my page for that. But I'm feeling like we're getting illuminated to a little bit of what that's about. And for you guys, it's Jupiter is in your 7th house and it's squaring Saturn in your 4th. And you're really, really seeing how about how these deep emotional patterns that you have within you that stem from childhood, Saturn, have been affecting your relationships, maybe negatively, maybe positively, and how you would really like that to transform to something new. You're getting tired of that. You're getting tired of your relational patterns. You're getting tired of the inner turmoil that you feel, the confusion, the not understanding, and you're really ready to make a change, and you're really ready to take responsibility. And yeah, as soon as I said that, Queen of Wands. Take responsibility for your fire, right? Which you guys are very fiery. And it's like, that's so beautiful. People love that about you guys, truly. Especially Sagittarius suns. It's like you watch them in awe of how they can just be who they are. And maybe that's just me as a Gemini sun, looking at them what the heck? And I have a Sagittarius moon too, but the Queen of Wands tells me you are really using that fire for something more creative and spiritual now. You're recognizing that you want to direct that fiery nature into something more based in spirituality and intuition. Because the fire element, it is outgoing and extroverted, but it also rules intuition. So I think you guys are tapping more into that aspect of fire right now. Rather than outwardly expressing your fire, you're wanting to cultivate that fire within. And I think that's perfect. If that's what you're doing, you're on the right path. Because what that's going to lead to is collaboration, is working well with other people. And like I said, Jupiter is in your 7th. So this is something that you guys are desiring. You're seeing how some way that you come across and the way that you act with people based on your emotional roots has caused conflict in your relationships, and you don't want that anymore. Like, I feel like you guys are getting really you guys are just kind of done with that. The North Node is in your 5th house, and it's creating this grand fire trine with Mercury in your sign, and then Mars in Leo in your 9th house. So yeah, I'm just feeling like you guys are really developing that inner fire and connecting to your intuition. And this could mean that you're even working with others during this time, or you want to be working with others. But this could also, for me, I just feel like it's more about the fact that you want to collaborate with other people. You don't want to just be always alone doing your own thing. Like I said, Sag Moon, I get it. Watch for conflict during this time too. Mars is retrograde in your 9th. Mercury is stationing direct on this full moon. There can be a lot of intensity with that, a lot of verbal intensity, and especially because you guys have the moon in the 7th house with Jupiter, which expands things. Sit with your emotions before we react, because conflict right now could be very damaging to you or the other person and the relationship that you guys have. So just be wary of that. But yeah, Sagittarius, what is going on in your guys' relationships? What are you being illuminated to? If you haven't been illuminated to it yet, wait a few days at least after the full moon. Come back and let me know. I'm very interested. Yeah, what's culminating in that part of your chart as well? Are there new contracts that you're signing? Are there new business partnerships or romantic relationships? Because the North Node is also in your 5th house, so very likely. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you have a full moon that's happening in Gemini in your 6th house. What is the 6th house? The 6th house is a house of work. It's a house of health and illness. It's a house of your pets. It's also a house of your daily routines and your responsibilities that you take on. It's a house of service and what we are willing to suffer for that service. So what was going on in that part, within those themes back in June of this year? Did you start a new job? Did you have a new health issue that now maybe you're figuring out? Because now it's coming to a culmination or completion, and you're seeing the fruition of something. So what were you guys doing then that is now being fulfilled for you? Also around this time, you're getting illuminated something. So maybe you're understanding something or hearing something about what's going on at work. Or you're getting an insight or an idea about something regarding your work or your health, what you want to be of service to. Maybe you're in a position, Capricorn likes to be of service. Your ruler right now is squaring Jupiter it's squaring Jupiter, and the moon's got some insight on that. Jupiter is in your 6th house, and your ruler is in Pisces in your 3rd house. So I already did a video on Jupiter square Saturn, but it's going to be exact again December 24th, which is your guys' season. You're getting some pressure here because it's like there's a desire of wanting to expand and grow in your job or in your responsibilities or in your sense of service, but something is not quite there yet. It's almost like Saturn, your ruler in the 3rd house, is like, no, you don't have the skills yet. Or no, yeah, it feels like for a lot of you guys want to be someplace else, but you don't have the skills. You don't have the communication. You don't have the thoughts are not right. Maybe there is another way that you have to think about things, or a new way of communicating things or getting things across. that is really going to help you get to where you want to get with your job or with your health. It feels like really for a lot of you guys, it's skills. There are skills that are missing right now. Neptune is also in the 3rd house. So we talk a lot about Neptune in the first part of the video that I did. It's linked down below. I do the overview. This full moon is very Neptunian, so I talk a lot about Neptune. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of these kinds of cards, which is like rest, chill, relax. And I talk about in the first part of the video how the end of this year and into even 2025, the beginning of it is very much like a cosmic chill pill because Mars is retrograde. It's more about the inner work. It's more about the inner journey. And this full moon is really highlighting that as well. Even though it's exciting and explorative, it is highlighting the fact that this is an internal journey. Knight of Wands. So with Neptune in the 3rd, and it's squaring the moon in the 6th and also the sun in the 12th, since the last 13 years, there may have been some communication patterns or some thought patterns that feel almost like out of your control, because where Neptune goes, it dissolves and it spiritualizes, but it also creates some confusion. So maybe for some of you guys, there are some aspects of your communication that you don't understand why you have such issues with it, or some thoughts or something. Like it's been very nebulous. But you've been working on figuring this out for the last year and a half, like getting really serious about this, because Saturn's been in there now. And Saturn wants to bring structure and boundaries to what Neptune has dissolved. And yet, around this full moon, something is coming up around that again, that like something to do with communication, skills, and your mindset. And a lot of this is subconscious as well, that has been holding you back. And you're getting a sense of that. Now, Mercury is going to go direct in your 6th house, so something may open up in the next couple of weeks around your job or around responsibilities or around your health. Something may become more clear to you. And yet Neptune is still squaring the sun and the moon during this full moon, at least. Whatever understanding you get, be kind of wary about moving full force with it, because it feels like this is a time for contemplation and not moving forward with it, because it feels like there's still a lack of clarity somehow. Neptune is trying to dissolve something. And I also want to say, like, when we talk about Neptune creating that confusion, and maybe you made some decisions or choices from that space over the last 13 years that you now look back on, or you look at it like, why has this been such an issue for me? Or why did I say that? Or why did I do that? Or why did I speak to that way? Why was my mindset like that? This is a time when Neptune is asking for a lot of compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. Because when we have to understand with the foresight now that when Neptune touches, it dissolves and it creates confusion, and it doesn't give us all of the information, right? It can be kind of delusion and deception, and a lot of times it's self-deception, but we're not aware of it. And so we do the best that we can with the information that we're given. Chariot. That's so interesting, because it's like these two are kind of not the same thing here, because the Chariot's like, go for it. Go for it. Use your will and determination to go for it. But in a lot of ways, this card is about like inner strength and perseverance and overcoming obstacles, which I talk about in the first part of the video too, is perseverance is coming up. So this to me is just saying, do what you always do, which is steadily work towards something. Don't jump into anything right now. You get some sort of idea. You don't need to jump into it right now. You guys are the mountain goats, right? And the sea goats. So it's like steadily climbing the mountain. It's something that I love observing Capricorn people do this, because it's just so antithetical to like all of my fire in my chart. That's just like, let's just go for it, and just take like huge leaps. And you guys are just all about like small measured steps, but you get there. You don't lose sight of it. You get there no matter what obstacles come your way. And so this is telling me, like, whatever issues you're having, because the sixth house is a house of suffering. So this full moon in the sixth could be illuminating some sort of like conflict, you know, and some sort of issue that you've been having with work, or really it could be anything, because it's just a house of conflict. Any legal issues as well. But my thing, what I'm feeling is like, you guys are going to come through this and you're going to be a lot stronger because of it. And for a lot of you guys, there is like a creative aspect to this as well. Maybe for some of you guys, it's a desire to express yourself more creatively. And you're just kind of like tired of the old status quo, you know? The sun being in your guys' 12th house and Mercury now going direct, but it's been retrograde. I think that's what like you guys have been discovering, these like old parts of yourself that somehow were lost when you had to sacrifice yourself for responsibility and service. And it's like these like childhood parts of you, these creative parts of you that, yeah, I mean, it could be so different because the 12th house is all encompassing, but you're recognizing something that you thought was lost and you're rediscovering it. And while Mercury goes direct in that part of your chart, it's going to bring more and more understanding for you. So just be patient. Got the Page of Pentacles. So this could be like a new money or job as well. I mean, Pluto is conjunct Venus in your second house right now. So maybe you guys are having a new idea for making money, because Venus is relationships. So yes, there could be transformations happening in your relationships, but Pluto's in your second for the next 20 years. So there's a lot of transformations happening with money. But maybe right now there's a new creative idea that you guys are wanting to move forward with, or just a new job or a new idea about a way to make money. Yeah. This is the card of responsibility. Too much responsibility. That hardens you. If you're a young Capricorn person, this is even more like true, because Capricorn loosens its grips as you get older. So generally after the Saturn return, we start slowly becoming more youthful as a Capricorn person, slowly remembering like our lightness. It's kind of like Benjamin Button in that sense. Like when you're young, you take on too much responsibility. So this for me is saying that like you're almost there. You're almost at this new beginning in which you are able to move forward with this new sense of self and the new desires that Mars is having you try to understand while it's retrograde right now. Yeah, because Mars is in your 8th house. So I've talked a lot about that, but it's about like, it's giving you courage, but right now it's going backward. It's giving you inner courage to persevere, to overcome this burdensome feeling that you have, because you know that there is something new coming. You know that you've been discovering new aspects of your psyche. You want to bring those inner parts out now, soon. Not yet, but soon. And I think for a lot of you guys, you're going to be learning new skills. I think that's going to be a big part of what this is about. And that's going to allow you to have new opportunities in your jobs, have new opportunities in your sense of service and your responsibilities. And it's going to be more aligned now. Your responsibilities are going to be more aligned. You're going to be choosing them rather than feeling like you're being burdened with them. All right, Capricorn, let me know how that resonates for you. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, so for my Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you guys have a full moon that's happening in your 5th house. And this is a culmination, completion, or fruition of events that were started back in June of this year, June 6th, 2024, when we had a new moon in Gemini. So the 5th house is a house of pleasure, creativity, love, romance. It's a house of self-expression. It's a house of entertainment and children and childlike joy. So were you guys starting a new creative hobby or a new creative project? Was there a new love love prospect or a new way of approaching love and romance? Was there a new way of enjoying your life? Did you find something, a hobby that brought you back to your childhood, that childhood sense of joy that now is becoming a bigger part of your life in some way? What kind of things are happening for you guys? Let me know that in comments down below. I'm interested to hear. Pluto is in your first house, as we know. Venus is also in your first house. So this is telling me that there's a lot of changes in your relationships and your sense of values right now. And that makes sense because Pluto's in your sign. Lots of transformations and changes are going to be happening throughout the years. And every time Venus comes to conjunct that, you're going to get more clarity or a new aspect of your relationships, finances, and values that are getting transformed. So it's cool to kind of track that. So Mercury is going to be moving direct in your 11th house about 12 hours after. So it's stationing direct. So this full moon is ruled by Mercury, who is stationing direct. So very powerful Mercury. Chill, right? Like, don't start arguments, don't start fights, don't, do any of that. This full moon is very emotionally charged. So just be wary of that. Yeah, you've got Sun in the 11th house, Mercury turning direct in the 11th house. And then you've got Neptune, which is in your second house, along with Saturn. Neptune's been here since 2011. In the first part of the video I did, I talk a lot about Neptune, and make sure you listen to that or watch that if you haven't already, because this is a very Neptunian full moon. But Neptune's been here since 2011. So maybe some of you guys have made a lot of decisions about money that may have been like unclear to you. Like, you're not sure why you made those decisions about money. This could have also brought a lot of spirituality into your finances and your values. But for a lot of you guys at certain points over the last 13 years, it's made you make some decisions in your life that you did not understand now. Like, why did I make that decision? Because Neptune confuses, it deludes, especially when it's in hard aspect, or it's in a place where it's not visible by the first house. This full moon is asking for us to have compassion and love for ourselves because we did the best that we could. And Saturn in that part of our chart over the last year and a half has been really trying to bring us to be more responsible in our finances, in our job, in our income, in our self-worth, and our values, and what we value in the world, and bringing more boundaries to that. Maybe for a long time you weren't really clear on your value system. Like, that was not clear to you, and it kept changing or it kept eluding you, like you would think you had it, but then it would change. And now you're gaining more structure. You're understanding what you stand for. You're understanding what you want to, how you want to make money, and what kind of service you want to put out in the world, and how you want to spend your money as well. Well, let's put this back in here. That was from the last reading. But Neptune in that second house is squaring your 5th and 11th house. So this is putting some tension on your sense of self versus the groups that you belong to. Now, this is very interesting because your sign is the 11th house, right? So your own house is being aspected here. And so this is big because it's like asking you, now that we have these values, how is that changing the way that you show up in the world? How is that changing the way that you are a leader in any groups that you're a part of? In your organizations? Are you acting on this new value system that you have? How is that changing the groups that you're associated with? How is that changing your sense of self-expression? And that's just something to ponder during this time because, Mars is in your 7th house. Ooh, that's so interesting that I was like talking about conflict. Because for you guys, Mars being in the 7th, that's a direct opposition. Pluto in your 1st, Mars in your 7th. It's almost like, yeah, you guys could be feeling a lot of opposition from other people right now. Just know that their opposition is going to go through a period of review and could be undone. So that's, if you get caught up in some sort of a conflict or argument, know that it's very likely that the other person, if they started it, now if you started it, that's a whole other issue, but if they start it, know that it's very likely that they're going to come around and say something completely different with given time. So the universe is giving us a cosmic chill pill at the end of the year. It would be in our best interest to kind of take that. And especially for you guys, because Mars is in your 7th, Pluto's in your 1st. That's pretty explosive. That's a beautiful card to get. That is a beautiful card to get. A wish fulfilled. 9 of Cups is a wish becoming fulfilled. And let's see what that's about. Knight of Swords. Okay, so Knight of Swords is having to do with our thoughts. And so this may be like a new idea you're having. But this knight in particular is very impulsive. And the North Node is in your guys' 3rd house right now, and it's part of a grand fire trine with Mars in your 7th and the Sun and Mercury in your 11th. So I'm just, number one, you're getting clarity when Mercury goes direct on what kind of groups and organizations you even want to be in and what kind of hopes and dreams you want to have, what kind of goals you want to achieve. Okay, side note. But what this is, it's making me feel like a lot of you guys are feeling quite impulsive with your communication. And so this is a very like ambitious and action-oriented card. But when Mars is retrograde, it's telling me like, if you want to win, if you want your wishes fulfilled, right? Because this is the Sun and Mercury are in your 11th house of wishes and hopes and dreams. If you want that, acting impulsively right now is not going to help you. Because what happens is not only do we like tend to skip steps, but it tends to, see collaboration, working together right now. Oh my gosh, that's coming in so strongly right now that there is a desire for you to move towards something really fast. We want to harness that energy internally. It's not that we don't want to move towards something, but we don't want to take bold action right now towards it. Instead, we want to find a common ground with other people, how we can all get along right now. And it looks like that's how you can be like the best leader, and that's how you can have some sort of a wish fulfilled, is by learning to cooperate right now, learning to collaborate. It's more so about that than it is about getting ahead right now, about taking a lot of action. This full moon is in your 5th house, so, have some fun, keep it light, don't try to impose yourself. That's what I'm hearing, like there's this desire to be right in a situation that's gonna backfire for you, and it's not gonna make you happy. Now, I also got the 8 of Swords and the Fool reversed. So this is interesting because the 8 of Swords to me is always about feeling stuck in some position. So maybe you guys are feeling like you're stuck. Maybe it's that someone or something is opposing you. It doesn't always have to be another person. When it's in the 7th house, it generally is, but it can be like a part of you that is not on board with the changes you want to make as well. So you're feeling stuck. And the Fool reverse, like you can't, number one, this is another thing saying don't be impulsive, don't run into anything right now. But it also is a sense of like a false start. Like you're wanting to jump into something new, but you're feeling like you can't. And what I love about all the Swords cards, especially the more difficult ones, is that they are mental. So in this scenario, you don't have to be stuck. You can untie yourself here with the knowledge and understanding that it's not time to impulsively move forward right now. It's not time for a new beginning right now. That time will come. It's not now. So that's the theme that I'm seeing for you guys, is like act righteously. Act righteously. And it's like you guys are being called to be the bigger person. All right, Aquarius, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, my Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon's happening in your 4th house. The 4th house is a foundational house that represents your home life, your childhood, your parents, your inner emotional foundations, and your emotional roots. And so what was going on in June of 2024, specifically the beginning of June, June 6th, in this part of your chart around those themes. Maybe you were desiring to move and now that's coming to a fruition or a culmination or some sort of completion or a peak. Full moon in the 4th is very emotional as well. For you guys specifically, being very careful about how we act during this time, because we may be blinded by emotions. We may also be blinded by your ruler Neptune in your 1st house squaring the moon in your 4th house and the sun and Mercury in your 10th house. So in the first part of the video that I did for this full moon, I talk a lot about Neptune because it's been in Pisces since 2011. I talk a lot about that, and I talk about just a lot of it. So you guys are ruled by Neptune. Definitely watch that video if you haven't already. When you have Neptune in the 1st for that long, does it bring some sort of a spiritual nature to you? Yes, it can. And also, it can be very confusing when Neptune is conjunct your sun, moon, rising. It can make you have a lack of direction or a lack of clarity on which direction, a lack of clarity on your identity as well, a lack of clarity on like who you are. Now, over the last year and a half, since Saturn's been in this part of your chart, you've been gaining more clarity because Saturn creates boundaries while Neptune dissolves them. So over the last year and a half, you've been making actually really great strides in creating like this identity, this person that you want to be, the lens you want to see the world through, the attitude, this person that you want to be known as. During this time, you may be kind of confused about that. You may be having some confusion around your life path and why your life is the way that it is and why you've made certain decisions that you made in your life. Learn to have some compassion. You guys always have so much compassion for other people. This is the time to have compassion for yourself and recognize that Neptune's been conjuncting your planet or point. That makes things very confusing and you act with a lowered self of awareness. It becomes very unconscious and we make decisions that we are not sure of like why we made them. It's not logical. Neptune is not logical. It's very elusive. So just have some love and compassion for yourself. But during this full moon, you know, Mercury is going to go direct in your 10th house 12 hours after this full moon. So in the weeks after this full moon, you're going to be gaining some clarity around your career direction, your legacy that you want to leave, you know, your public status, because you've been thinking about those things deeply with Mercury retrograde in that part of your chart. And also the sun's there right now too. So you're going to be gaining clarity there. But during this full moon, you're going to probably feel extra tired, even though full moons are actually quite stimulating. But for you guys specifically, it may be making you feel kind of tired. And also, you may be feeling kind of confused or remorseful or just kind of like, yeah, not understanding why things went away that they did. And what I'm hearing for you guys is that, and what the tarot is saying, is that there's an importance in just sticking to the work, okay? Forgive yourself, have compassion for yourself. But I feel like there is a desire for you to just keep working. There's something telling me just keep working, keep your head down and work, because number one, the North Node is going to enter your sign January 11th. Okay? So once that happens, depending on, you know, what you have in Pisces, it's going to give you a huge expansion. Okay? And not like the type of Jupiter expansion. It's a type of expansion that makes you hungry for experience and who am I and what identity do I want to have. So it's really good that you've had Saturn here, getting some structure in that part of your chart before North Node goes there. And so you have you feel some sort of responsibility, and then North Node's going to go there and you're going to start this 1.5 year process of exploring identities and exploring who you want to be known as and what you want to be in the world. But right now, I'm hearing put your head down and work. Don't get thrown off track here because, Mars is in your 6th house. Yes, that makes sense now. Why I was hearing that. Mars is in your 6th house of work. Work hard. It's retrograde. You don't need to, be doing big, bold work and putting yourself out there right now. No. Just put your head down and work, okay? Also, what I'm hearing is, interesting. I think you guys are going to be illuminated to some sort of relational patterns that you've held from deeply rooted emotional foundations that have created like a desire to control situations because you didn't feel like you could trust other people. During this time, you're seeing and recognizing that relationships to others really matter. Now, Pisces already, because of their association with the 12th house and the collective unconscious, has this understanding, but you know, the sign of Pisces, depending on where it's at and other placements, but the Pisces archetype can be kind of reclusive. Not reclusive, but you guys definitely enjoy your alone time, which is totally great. I definitely do too. I love my alone time. I need a lot of alone time. And yet, in that, sometimes we lose the balance of like our relationships. And I think you guys are really understanding, and that maybe for a long time, the reason why you were more reclusive or you kept to yourself more was because you didn't have the right type of people in your life. And as you've been forging your sense of identity more and more during this time, you have been able to find soul connections that have made you realize how important it is to have that in your life, to have connection with other people who are aligned with you. And it's made you more generous and open and trusting with other people. Because see, Pisces has Virgo on the 7th house cusp if you're Pisces rising. You yourself are more flow, go with the flow. But when it comes to your relationships, you have higher standards, which is not bad at all. But sometimes it creates like a disconnect, like I said, from relationships. And part of that is because there is a lack of like trust. And I feel like that's being slowly loosened. And I think part of that is because Saturn is allowing you to come into your own and not having to depend on other people anymore for your sense of identity. Knight of Pentacles, new business ideas could be happening right now. You've got North Node as part of the Grand Fire Trine with Mars in your 6th house and the Sun and Mercury in your 10th house. So your Earth, so this makes total sense to me that we keep getting all of these pentacles, and that makes sense to me. Like, you guys have new ideas, you guys are working on something, maybe you have a new idea. Maybe there is a desire to make sure you're saving money right now in order to work on something out that you want to work on, that you like love, but you need to make sure that you have money for it right now. Yeah, it feels like there is a lot of passion and desire to work on your material realm. So allow that to be an inner understanding and know that you can work toward financial stability or this new idea. But right now, it's more about focusing on yourself and putting your head down and work. That's what I just keep hearing. And I just got this as well. So it just putting your head down and working. But this one is actually like, okay, this is the Neptune disappointment that I was talking about in the beginning, of like looking back in our lives and like sensing that we made decisions that we weren't happy with. Today's another day. There's 2 upright cups. Today's another day to completely remake who you are. But it's a slow process. It's not going to happen right now. Mars is retrograde. Things are slowing down. It's not going to happen right now. You're just being illuminated to some patterns, but you're going from like a sense of unknown and chaos, a time of like more turbulence. It doesn't even feel like turbulence though. It just feels like instability to more stability. It's just that right now you have to solidify the foundations of it. That's what this time is asking you to do. So Pisces, let me know how this resonates for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content, and I'll see you guys next time.